Do your job.
Marcos Villegas for FightHubTV.com, being joined by a towering Travis HAPA Browne, rising UFC heavyweight. Travis, thank you very much for joining us here tonight in a night filled with action-packed fights, amateur fights brought to you by the Combat Fight League. How was Travis HAPA Browne as an amateur? Where did you start your amateur career, and were you as scrappy as an amateur as you are now?
Yeah, man, I think you really start to see in the amateur fight leagues, you start to see a personality start to grow with your fighter. You start to see what kind of fighter he's going to be, how he's going to take to a professional level. I was actually just, I've always been more of a power striker, power fighter, and that's what you saw as an amateur, and it's definitely carried over into my professional career. So yeah, and I got started in Carlsbad. I did a couple smokers, a couple Muay Thai smokers, and then it was moved up to professional really quick.
Well, yeah, like I said, you moved on really quick. You made it onto the big show. Congratulations first off. Now, moving towards your fight that you had with Czech Congo back in London, it didn't go your way. Do you feel that you won that fight?
Technically, I felt like I won that fight. As a fighter, I didn't win that fight. I mean, it was a draw, and I was lucky to get that. And I think that. First off, I wanted to really apologize to my fans out there and also the UFC because, I tried to do my job. I didn't do it that excitingly, but we'll work on in the future. But from now on, you're going to see a different fighter, a guy that's going to come out and try to finish all 3 rounds, not just the first or second, but all 3 rounds. I'm going to come out and try to finish people. So, that's going to be the difference in the future.
Did Czech Congo ever have you hurt during the fight?
Not once. The knees to the thigh weren't doing anything. He got me a couple times, punched me a couple times, and didn't do anything. There was not once that I was ever in danger, like rocked or felt like I was going to lose the fight because he was going to finish it or anything like that. He was actually surprisingly, I felt really strong in that fight, and I thought that was going to be one of his strengths, was the power that he has, but it wasn't. I mean, it's something that from that fight I learned a lot about myself, where I stand in the UFC, the damage that I can do now in the UFC. Going into that fight mentally, I kind of psyched myself out because that's Czech Congo, and that to me was my second fight, my first real heavyweight fight, because all the other guys I fought really kind of belong at 205. But he was my first heavyweight opponent and real test, and I psyched myself out a little bit. It's not happening again.
I know when I was talking to you earlier, you had mentioned that you had a little bit of a mental lapse in the fight, and that's why you thought it didn't really go your way. I wanted to see, was a part of that mental lapse due to you were fighting in such a big arena, out of the country in England, or was it other factors?
No, honestly, the crowd doesn't affect me. I can fight in front of 1 million people or 2 people. I feel the exact same. When I know that when that door closes, it's just one man against another man, and it was more or less the fighter that kind of got to me a little bit. It wasn't the surroundings or anything like that. But like I said, I learned so much on that fight as a fighter myself. Something that I can definitely move forward on and grow from is competing in that fight.
Now, in your non-biased opinion, because I know you fight for the UFC, and some people, when I interview them, they tend to give a biased opinion. How do you rank Strikeforce's heavyweight division, you being a heavyweight fighter and you knowing a little bit more about these guys, compared to the UFC's heavyweight division and their top heavyweights against Ken Velasquez and Junior Dos Santos and people like yourself?
I think, honestly, the level of fighting in the UFC is superior to any other promotion, any other league or anything like that you can even compare it to. There's no comparison. The UFC is the NBA, NFL, the MLB of professional fighting. That's where you want to go. I think anything else can be maybe be used as like developmental or maybe a step down. That's what I look at Strikeforce as. I had options. I decided to go with the UFC because that's the elite of the elite in the world, in every division. You're not going to find a better champion in the Strikeforce promotion than you are in the UFC promotion. Look at Jake Shields. He comes over and he's dominating everybody in the Strikeforce. He comes over and in my opinion, loses to Campman. So that just goes to show you, he's supposed to be one of the most dominating champions. He comes over and, in my opinion, lost.
You've trained with Junior Dos Santos before. He's going to fight Cain Velasquez. How do you think that fight's going to go?
Honestly, as a fan of this sport, I'm really excited to see this fight. Cain has never fought a striker like Junior. And Junior hasn't fought a wrestler like Cain. So it is, and the thing is Cain obviously has good hands and stand up, and you saw against Roy Nelson that Junior can also stuff some shots and stop takedowns. So it's like, it's going to be a back and forth fight. I think whoever is on their game that night is going to come out with the belt.
And finally, I know I had mentioned the Strike Force and the UFC topic. Do you think that Fedor would lose to Cain Velasquez?
I believe so. Honestly, I think Fedor is the man. He's the shit, man. That guy is I have so much respect for him. At the same time, I think now there's a new breed of fighter. There's new people taking over the sport, and that's where Randy Couture's done such a good job of like maintaining and always developing his game. Same thing with Frank Mir. He's changed his game from 5, 6, 7 years ago, and that's why he's still around. And so I think, Fedor's kind of gotten into that point where he's doing the same thing over and over again. A big guy actually in the Strike Force promotion is Alistar. He's strong, he's big, he can kick. Yeah, man, that guy's legit. I think I would love to see that fight. You know what I mean? Is Fedor and Alistar.